Singapore's first inclusive justice law centre is set to bring legal services directly into the community, with lawyers working alongside social workers, psychologists and other disability sector professionals. Run by Bono SG, it aims to improve access to justice for people with visible and invisible disabilities. Its chairman, Dinesh Dhillon, told CNA's Chloe Teo why a more inclusive approach is needed both in and out of the courtroom.
Your friend, your relative, your colleague, your neighbour across the hall. Amongst every 30 people in Singapore, at least one is estimated to have a disability. And a significant proportion of these individuals live with invisible disabilities, which can range from autism to mental health conditions like schizophrenia. This can make accessing legal help even more of a challenge when needed. It's a gap that Singapore Law Society's charity arm, Pro Bono SG, has been fighting to address.
Thank you so much for your time and congratulations on the launch of the Inclusive Justice Centre. So, before we dive right into it, why don't you just give us some context into what are the current gaps that are facing these individuals as they try to navigate today's legal system?
You need to think of access to justice as a matter of not just form, but actually substance. So if you think about it, you just take one example, one group, people with autism, such a wide spectrum really. And there are some within this group who suffer from what you call almost like mutism. They can't speak or they can't communicate the way we are used to. So that doesn't mean that they don't understand. That doesn't mean they don't have a story to tell. And when they are caught in a situation where they could be possibly an accused or a victim, the law is all about finding out the truth, finding out the evidence. Access to justice is about that. So without that partnership, perhaps you have to do it differently. You need help from social workers, the caregivers. You need possibly the psychiatrists, in fact, quite essential, and psychologists.
This belief is at the heart of Pro Bono SG's new law centre dedicated to inclusive justice. Rather than operating from a single location, legal services will be brought directly into the community. It's currently in talks with some 20 community agencies across Singapore to select several partner sites. Legal specialists will then rotate across these locations, working alongside other sector professionals.
I think you would see the difference that can potentially make. Firstly, you're going proximate to where the people are. Secondly, you're working with the social service providers who understand the disability best. And frankly, the lawyer really needs that because part of access to justice is many lawyers don't understand the condition in the first place.
But navigating this space comes with its own challenges.
When a person has an invisible disability, you might, because of the disability, feel, why aren't they helping me help them? Why is it so difficult to get to the evidence? And you will really need to find patience. You will need to go that extra mile to win trust. I want to emphasize that having done pro bono work myself, the real beneficiary is yourself. You will actually feel very rewarded by what you do. And down the road, the gap you fill, the difference you make, not just to the individual, but to the family, it has a ripple effect. It goes on and it can change lives.
But Mr. Dhillon adds that this is not solely an issue for the courts to address.
I think people have a tendency now to, whenever they see something awkward happening in public, out comes the phone, let me film it, let me share it. I'll give you an example, a person might have bipolar, and if you are going through a psychosis at that material time, you may be completely violent, say on the MRT, and it's going to go a long way harder for that person to heal when he comes to and realizes, oh, all this is now public. So I think how do you balance it? On one level, that's where I say the educative aspect for all of Singapore matters. The other aspect is you can't excuse the wrong. You can't pretend that there are no victims. You can't pretend that there are no consequences. But again, so the case has to be heard. But how should it be heard? And what evidence should be considered? Surely there's no justice if you don't take into account the condition. You don't take time to understand that, oh, when he committed that crime, that wasn't him or her, that was the illness. That's critical for the judge to weigh in deciding what's the appropriate sentence. So it could well be that maybe it's not traditional jail, maybe it's a treatment order. But yet again, the medical aspect must come in, the rehabilitative aspect must come in as a matter of justice.
Ultimately, he believes inclusive justice is a reflection of national progress.
It's not just about the courtroom. It's actually about the kind of society we are willing to build or willing to be. Are we going to be a society where we teach our children to be friends with people who are different? Or are we going to teach them that only hang out with the people who are doing well, who can help you go ahead in life? And this is a very real thing in very affluent Singapore, because we have done very well as a nation. But what does happiness, progress and prosperity as a nation really mean?
For Mr. Dhillon and his team at Bono SG, it starts with justice for all, especially the least and the last.